Welcome everybody, Tuesday Night Cigar Club here at Cats Fest 4 in San Antonio, Texas. We're here with Mr. Fred Rewey, Nomad Cigar Company.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
It's good to be here.
Thanks for joining us.
I don't know how I follow JD though, man. He took all my swear words. He's getting all the hip hop references. I'm like, I got nothing else. I got
all my material.
I got Helen ready, and
let's do a very subdued.
He's tough to get going. He's really tough to get talking.
It was a chore.
I told him. About 10 years ago, I was sitting around in a big cigar shop with a couple guys that are, way big guys. And they're like, when are you going to start your own brand? When are you going to start your brand? I remember looking around this big-ass humidor going, the last thing we need is another brand. So I went home and I thought about it, and basically JD was one of the guys I thought of. And I looked at the guys that I liked in the industry, and I looked at the guys that I didn't. And actually, at that moment, it actually didn't have anything to do about cigars. It had to do about attitude,
personality,
and even above that, really what it was is I looked at guys like JD, and you obviously get it in his interview. You obviously get it when there's 700 people waiting in line to talk to him, and it's the guys that never forgot where they came from.
Yeah,
it's the guys that are just, despite all the press, despite the money and whatever else, they just stay grounded. Yeah. And to me, those are the guys who are like, look, I'm going to start a company. You always want to be that guy, and it wasn't like I was being a jerk thinking I was going to make it big, because I didn't. You don't know where it's going to go. But you look at those guys, and just JD's an example. And there's a couple guys that, you'll see that line like you talked about, where there's just 1,000 people waiting in line, and as tired as you are, though, he's still looking them in the face, giving everybody their due. Appreciates that they smoke the cigar. And so those are the guys that I looked at when I started going, okay, I want open communication. I want guys to be able to talk to me. I was the first person to put my personal Twitter on the outside of every single band. Guy tweets me, whatever.
That leads me in one of the first things I wanted to bring up. I mean, you mentioned that, but you are, before I ever had a Nomad cigar, you are one of the most visible, active manufacturers on social media.
Yeah.
And I don't say this to throw out there, even if you're not into cigars, it's a funny looking Twitter feed and Facebook page. It's just I'm dying to know what you say when you were thinking about getting this.
Right.
What's your background? What did you do before?
Well,
cigars?
I've done a million things. If you look at my resume, you're just kind of like, no way you did all this stuff. But I just have a short attention span, so I did whatever I liked. The thing with the Twitter and Facebook and stuff is, look, anybody can get out there. A lot of big guys do this. It's like every single post is them with their like cool Dominican pose like this, and buy my cigar, buy my cigar. And it's like, I know you want me to buy your cigar. I want to know the person.
Yeah.
So the Twitter and stuff like that. Look, if I do a launch, you're going to see more stuff on Facebook about the cigar. I just released the San Andreas last week, so you're seeing more about that.
Which I had last night, and it's phenomenal.
Thank you.
Really, really good.
But generally there were two things I was looking at. One is, everybody knows I'm smoking my cigars. What surprises them is when I share other people's cigars I'm smoking. I was posting stuff on other cigars I was smoking in a shop, and I had two big manufacturers. At that point, they're just kind of like, hey, I want to help you out a little bit. And they're like, man, don't post pictures of you smoking someone else's cigar. And I'm like, look, I have said from day one, I am first and foremost a cigar consumer.
Yeah.
And for me not to see, I remember being on a show a long time ago, and it's one of the Skype deals, and so it's all on camera. And they said, hey, man, when you're not smoking your own stuff, what do you smoke? And I rattled off like 5 brands. And the blends I was smoking, and they're all dead quiet. I thought we lost the feed or something, but then I can see them moving, and I'm like, so I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, man, I just screwed up. I just like named the wrong brand for the wrong guy or something like that. And they come and said, no, every time we ask that question, the manufacturer says, well, I only smoke my stuff. It's the best. And I said, with all due respect to whoever said that, I said they're either naive or lying. Because to suggest there's never been a better time to be a cigar smoker.
Yeah, no doubt.
You walk in that humidor, there's a lot of great cigars.
Yeah.
So part of my design in the very beginning is, look, you got to know the person. So my success, look, I went down, Dominican, I went down to Nicaragua, checked the ego at the friggin' door.
Right.
I could spend the rest of my life down there, and they're going to know more than me. So go to the people that know. And after the first year in Nicaragua, I started in DR, but when I got to Nicaragua, First year, they're pretty much ignoring you. You're another white guy coming down there with a little bit of money to make a cigar. But then when you stay down there and they see you're sincere about it, you're not just flying down for 4 days, they slide 3 cigars across the table, which one do you like? Oh, great, we'll put your band on it, you're in business. Right. When you're going to the fields and you're asking questions and you're down there for a lot of time, once you get over that hurdle, the amount of information they will share with you that I thought was proprietary. I thought like, oh man, you're not going to give me that super secret stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But if they see you're genuine and trying to move the craft along and find your place at the table, they'll give you a ton of information. And once I got to that phase, it was really cool. And most of my journey, everybody's got a different spiel on, their company in the background, what they've done. Most of mine has been, look, I knew nothing. Like I was a cigar smoker for 12, 15 years or whatever before. Most of mine has been my discovery. I started in the Dominican Republic. I moved to Nicaragua. Every blend has been my journey of learning. So San Andreas that we just came out with, that was 2 years ago I started playing with San Andreas. I didn't know how to, I didn't have a Maduro till last year. I didn't know, I didn't understand the tobacco. I didn't know what it was going to taste like. I didn't know what it would age like. So every step of the way has been my journey. So I share that, and I'll tell you what I did right. I'll tell you what I did wrong. Tell you what I absolutely screwed up on, and just some dumbass luck home runs, But I share that. And to me, I just have a weird sense of humor. I find stuff, I share it and stuff like that. But then you get to know who I am. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's more valuable than, hey, buy my steak.
I agree.
I think we're just kind of blessed that we're, the time we live in to where you can put a face to the product. And, I'll be honest. I mean, that's a social media friendship with Skip Martin.
Yeah.
Led me to Roma Craft.
Right. I was pissed off at him last week, by the way, or 2 weeks ago. I'm down there. Man, my best meal's at the Grigo Cucina, and then he wasn't there. And I'm like, fuck, now I'm eating this stuff.
Pizza Hut. Oh God, his food pics are.
I was down there 2 straight months, and after smoking my own stuff, new blends, I'm like going to Skip's factory, and I'm like, hey man, I need a bundle of Neanderthals.
But that's a great. To go back to your point, that's a great thing about being in the environment right now is that you've got social media access to these heads of cigars companies to where you can learn their personalities. You can learn what they're like, and I think you're right. I think that's what people latch on instantly to. And JD was saying that people are promiscuous when it comes to cigars, but there's still a brand loyalty there because of the way I like the person.
He's obviously in a different world than I am. What I'm finding is a lot of guys are brand loyal, not blend loyal. So do you have different blends to offer them based on their move and stuff like that?
Yeah.
What they feel like that day and things like that. And for me in the beginning, we've got almost 11. Well, we'll have 11 full production blends by the show, and then 3 other words, that we'll probably try to jump on the FDA, out before August 8th thing in limited amounts anyway. But you look when I'm starting, you're looking at the gaps in your portfolio. And so, I was smoking a lot of other, I love Dion stuff. I love the Herrera Esteli when that came out. That was great. I didn't have anything in that wheelhouse. So if I wanted that type cigar, I'm smoking their cigars, And, you walk into the humidor now, and with few exceptions, obviously there's some bad cigars up there. And I'm not talking about, construction or something like that. They're just some blends.
Just some blends.
But I'm not the guy that ever's going to say, unless you get me really drunk, I'm not going to say, hey, that's a shitty cigar.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, you know what? It's not my taste.
Exactly.
It's not my wheelhouse. But you know what? Someone out there likes it. I don't judge anybody for what they like. You know? If you smoke a cigar, I may hate that cigar, but if you like it, and knock yourself out. If you're happy with it, it's good by me.
I will say this, as far as Nomad's concerned, you mentioned kind of having an offering for certain moods, certain points of the day. I've become a big fan of the therapy line.
Oh, thank you.
And I think that fits that beautifully, between the Maduro and the Habano.
Right.
I'm at the point now where I know, depending on either what time of day, what I'm drinking, it's right there. And I haven't seen it, but I saw I think on one of your pages there's a display box.
Yeah.
For the brick and mortars that actually has them lined out.
Yeah, there's a Robusto and a Toro Beach. There's mild, medium, full.
It just said, it very explicitly says, this is for this and this. I think that's. I don't see enough of that.
I'd like to say I planned that, but I'd be lying. As far as what to smoke throughout the day. Originally, it was really only 2 blends. It was the first Maduro I was going to put out, And then there was a Connecticut version, which I had just started playing with San Andreas, and we worked San Andreas into the binder. And it's kind of a mind screw up, because like if I had to put San Andreas on the outside, they'd be like, oh, that's strong, I can't have that. And San Andreas isn't it's not necessarily a strong tobacco.
Right.
Yeah. So I think there are a lot of the guys smoking the Connecticut in the therapy. If I went over and peeled off the wrapper, they'd be freaked out, their world's messed up now. But it ended. So the Havana was the last one. But then I thought of the name Therapy, and I'm like, I'm searching it, and I'm like, there's no friggin' way this is available. It's available.
This is going to be a stupid question, but for those of us, not for me, but for our listeners, is there a website, a database that you guys can go into to see what cigar names have been used and trademarked?
You can go. Matter of fact, there's a couple of blogs that are pretty smart about it. They publish when we've gone and registered a name. Okay. So you'll see them and you're like, oh man, I didn't want to give that away early.
How'd they know?
Yeah, so it's a public. So you go and you search it. So you kind of get an overview search. And then I'll hand it off to my attorney and go, okay, double check, because I'll screw something up,
right.
And then it's available. And I was told on Therapy, they're like, hey, my attorney says, I'm not sure this is really going to get approved. And I said, why not? And he says, well, they may kick it back as, it's not therapeutic. Cigars aren't really therapeutic. And I'm like, dude, I'll argue that all day long. I can make a list of people I haven't killed because I've been able to relax and have a cigar. So that's therapy to me.
Exactly.
And I think I mentioned it on the website in one of my reviews. I couldn't believe that it hadn't been used before.
Yeah. I think it's the best trademark name I ever got.
It is so much the cigar experience. I mean, it's a lot cheaper than Therapy. I hear.
The other thing on the tray is I was trying to accomplish a couple things at once, but the reason I did the trays, everybody, it worked out. I didn't have a tray, and some retailers like trays, some absolutely hate them. But I wanted something that was easy for that guy that goes in the humidor. That hey man, you need help? And he's like, no, I'm good. And then he's just kind of staring at everything because it's overwhelming, especially if you're a newer cigar smoker. Yeah. It's overwhelming. So he'll see the tray. He'll probably have heard the name Nomad, particularly if he's on anything social media or reads any of the magazines nowadays. But mild, medium, full. It's like, oh, I like medium, so I'll grab medium, or I like full, I'll grab full.
Yeah.
And that just kind of helped it. But the other thing is I was looking at, what I never wanted to do is I never wanted to make sacrifices or cutbacks like on tobacco or the factories I was working with for money. Because I thought, I'm either going to build a brand or I'm going to fail trying. But I don't want to look back and go, man, if I just did use that little bit of tobacco that in my mind I know I liked better, but I don't want to pay the extra 25 cents a stick or whatever it was. So my margins are pretty much lower than a lot of guys out there because I was either going to build a brand or fail trying. And so Therapy, I was like, okay, so to me it's very difficult. Unless you own a factory, it's very difficult to put out an amazing $5, $6 cigar. I mean, it's just, for me, like the guy that smokes a $2 cigar that's a listener or something like that, and you like that cigar, man, more power to you. I wish I did. My palate's gone too far down the road, and I pick up, subtle things just like everybody does that smokes for a while. But I was trying to figure out how could I get something a little bit lower in price? How could I get a Robusto under $7? How could I get a Toro under $7.50? And I'm blending and I'm playing. And I tried playing with short fill. I tried playing with medium fill. And they tasted okay. I wasn't thrilled with the construction. Yeah. I did, so I'm like, how far can I take it? And I'm like, so then I'm looking at the rest of the numbers going, okay, where can I save money? It was the boxes. So I saved probably almost $20,000 on that first run by doing a tray. And I opened it up to 100 retailers. And I saved all this money just was here's one tray versus shipping boxes. And then the other thing I didn't even realize, I didn't think about anyway, is the first time it all shipped into the country and I'm looking at my shipping costs, it was way lower. Well, I didn't have boxes weighing everything down.
Yeah.
So, it was a way to not sacrifice my wanting to use quality tobacco and still get the stick nudged down a little bit farther.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I never even think about that. Plus, it's just...
But it all came together. I mean, like I said, I wish I planned all that, but...
Well, and it's just a really nice eye grab when you walk in the humidor.
It's just amazing.
It's just a really good eye grab, but they're really good cigars, and they're very unique. Yeah. Obviously the proof is in the pudding. The mild meat. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, they worked out real well.
I've been talking them up a lot. Tell us about the San Andreas.
San Andreas, it took a while. I did it out of AJ Fernandez's factory, and he's got just some absolutely amazing tobacco.
Yeah.
Obviously he does his own stuff. He does some stuff, but there's really only a couple manufacturers that have consistently worked out of there.
Southern Draw,
and Kendall, Outlaw. So, to have access to the tobacco is big, and so I've been playing with San Andreas for a while. and found the just some amazing wrapper. But it was really more the length of time. Matter of fact, I wish I would have finished the blend over a year ago, because the price of San Andreas just keeps going up, particularly if you want really good San Andreas. So I just kept playing with it, and then so really kind of what I started with was the C276 blend. The C276 has Condega and Esteli in it, Ometepe, Jalapa, Habano Oscuro wrapper. And when I was playing with that blend, at the same time I was kind of playing with the San Andreas, and I just couldn't get it right, and I didn't know why. So the C276 went out, which was great. It's done very well. It was the first fuller-bodied cigar I had, but still smooth. The idea was to take it, how strong can I take it, but not to the point that you lose flavor. Look, you can make a strong cigar for strength's sake, and you can have a crappy blend, and no one will know. As long as you've got enough Lajero stuff in there and decent Lajero, it's like, it's just over the top. Yeah. I wanted more of, the cigars that I was smoking that weren't mine, that were just full-bodied but lots of layers of flavor. So I started with that blend, and I was playing with San Andreas simultaneously, and it just wasn't coming together. And then I finally figured it out. Pulled out the Ometepe, played with the different Lajeros a little bit more, and then finally came around on the San Andreas, and I'm real happy with it. I didn't need to have a mild version with the San Andreas, which you can do. The H-Town Lancero I did for Stogies, where he picked 10 different companies to make a Lancero. Right. That's actually a San Andreas. That was the first one I did, but it was Dominican, and it was milder, but as a San Andreas, great wrapper, great cigar, and it's only available in a Lancero. But I wanted something, meatier. I wanted something that had a lot more flavor to it, and a lot more body to it. And so it took a while. And like I said, I wish I would have, nailed it down over a year ago, because it would have been cheaper. Yeah. But, and I was still adamant, and I have been, everybody keeps raising prices. I've never raised prices in my line. Now, I'm not saying it'll never happen. Right, it's just, I guess I'll keep my margins a little bit more, or whatever it may be. And I think having a relationship with a factory was paramount. 276 was a very big example about that. That cigar really should have been easily $12, $13 on the shelf. I just know the tobaccos that are in it. I know what they cost. Right. But having a relationship with a factory is like, you know what, we'll go ahead and cut you a break on this one. Awesome. And that's part of that time spent down there and everything else. So, I'm real happy with it.
It's really good. Fred
you.
Gave me one last night, and I'll need to revisit it, but my first impression was
thank you,
and very layered, very.
Yeah, we released it last week. It's nice. It's finally. Look, you're out there. The boutique thing. It's everybody sees you at an event, and they're just like, wow, you get to be the guy that come in. You're the rock star, blah blah blah. And it's just like, they don't see you grind. If you had an event at night, you've hit 4 or 5 shops during the day where there's no crowd, there's nobody there. You're just talking to the retailer. You're starting over from square one. If he doesn't know your brand, you're walking him through everything. So you're putting in all your time. So it's nice for me. This is like the 10th blend, I think, and it's nice to put it out after 5 years and finally realize the benefit of all that hard work, where you've built up a reputation in your blends, and you put out a cigar, and all these shops order it, and they haven't even tried it. Yeah. They don't care. They're just like, I know it's Fred's. I know he hasn't failed us on anything else. Whether you like a particular blend or not, maybe your palate, but they know they're good. Yeah. Right. So it was a very kind of a proud moment for me last week when I'm like, I announced it, now available for shipping, and normally it's okay. The reps, hey, let me get samples, let me go to all the shops, blah blah blah, and just orders started coming in out of the gate, and it's just it's nice to have that. You're like, okay, you made it there. And if the FDA doesn't fuck it all up, then I'm fine. Because it's just like, the idea of calling me and saying, look, hey, sorry you just spent the last fucking 5 years of your life building a company. See ya.
We've had a lot of people ask us coming into today, are you gonna bring up FDA? I'm like, well, that's a fun occasion. If it comes up, we'll. But you're a prime example of who this is going to cripple, who this is going to hurt. Hardworking American businessmen making a legal product, right, enjoyed by adults, and your neck is the one their boots coming down on.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
And like I said, I bring it up just to put a face. We've been talking about a lot on the show, and a lot on our website, and to kind of put a face to this is who it's right. This is who this is going to fuck with.
Well, and look, there's guys a lot smaller than me. There's guys a lot bigger. I'm still of the camp that things are gonna work out. I just still think that we haven't got to the point that anybody with common sense is looking at this. To say a 2006 cigar doesn't need to be regulated, but a 2012 one does. I mean, we're playing with the same product.
It's ridiculous.
We're lumped in with everything else.
The minute you go there, it's not a health issue at all.
Yeah, well, and I don't think this is a health issue
is
at all.
not
I mean, and there's as far as tax, look, if you want to come and say, look, we want to raise the tax on it, okay, I get it. But I mean, I pay every single cigar that comes into the country, I pay just over 40 cents a cigar. It's S-chip.
No.
And I have to pay that. The government gets that. Now, all of a sudden, they cut everything off. I'm like, I don't know, you going to give me all my S-chip money back? Because it was legal when I brought it in, but now you have a problem with it. So I do seminars called Hacking the Blend on the 8613. And what that is I actually bring in 3 Puritos, which are very small little cigars. There's not even a wrapper on them. So I just have one that's only Condega, one that's only Jalapa, one that's only Ometepe. And my idea is, and I didn't want a pretentious seminar because, look, there are guys way smarter than me. I'm like, I hack my way through blends. I think everything in half leaves. I'm like, okay, I'm at the rolling table. We got all this tobacco. Give me a half leaf of this, half leaf of this, full leaf of this, half leaf of this, put it in a neutral binder, let me smoke it. Go, okay, well, that sucked. Take that out, put this back in, and I hack my way through it. So the idea in the seminar was to go, okay, you're going to get to taste these 3 tobaccos individually. Because what came out was really, I had a retailer, tell me, I'd never be able to make a blend. I'm like, well, you probably could if you get familiar enough with the tobacco. And he's like, no, I couldn't. I said, well, have you had cornflakes? And he's like, well, yeah, I've had cornflakes. And I said, well, have you had a raw onion before? He's like, yeah, I've had a raw onion. I was like, well, I don't need to do a seminar with a bowl full of raw onions and cornflakes if you have an idea what it's going to taste like. Once you get familiar with the tobaccos, you start, and it's like cooking.
Right.
So we take them through that seminar in the 8613, and then they finish the final product, which is the 8613, and they get to go, okay, I can see now. I can taste the flavors. I can see why you chose this.
I haven't been to that one, but I have been to blending seminars that are very similar. And you're right. And I suggest to any of our listeners to go and do this. It's very interesting because
we went to James Brown did one for the NBK.
And when you learn those individual taste profiles, and then you taste a cigar, and you can actually pull those flavors out, it really just expands your knowledge about it.
And I apologize for not naming the guys that I'm not thinking of, but obviously James, who rarely does them, it's a great opportunity. Kendall does one that's similar to mine, but he uses 5 different tobaccos you go through. You've got Saka, who actually I was in Houston the other day, and we were gonna go night, and I saw a text from Saka, and he's like doing one over at Jorge's, and I'm like, well, shit, I'm just gonna stay here an extra night and go watch his seminar, and I'm like watching it, which was really cool because I'm like listening to him, his brain is like way full of all the knowledge. And I had 2 takeaways. One was basically like, okay, I've been accidentally doing things right, which is awesome. And then the other part is I'm learning stuff.
Let's talk a bit about cats. There's a lot of cigar groups on Facebook and elsewhere on the internet. What brings you to Cats Fest? When did you first kind of become involved with cats? Do you appreciate that level of interaction?
It's wild. I mean, this is my first year here.
Okay.
So I've been active on the Cats board for probably about 2.5 years now. Obviously it started as a Drew board and kind of evolved from that. And I was a little. It's like not knowing if the water is cold or hot. In the beginning. So jumping on the board, I wasn't sure how they would perceive of me. I mean, I wasn't there to sell my cigars or anything like that. I was just interested in a group of people that band together and like cigars.
Yeah.
And found them very receptive. Great group of people. It's nice to despite doing a lot of events and stuff like that. Some of these guys, this is the only place the only event they come to.
Yeah.
And to kind of put a name with the face, and guys that you develop this. I don't need to tell you, you develop this kind of online relationship with guys.
It's
that you
crazy.
Get to know.
It's
yeah,
weird.
I mean, it's like the old pen pal days or something, but a little bit more immediate.
No, it's a good analogy. I met a fellow last night that I've been Facebook friends with, for over 5 years, almost on a weekly basis. We'll kind of jibber jabber back and forth.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit, you're living, breathing.
I think the difference is that, look, I don't know if I haven't decided if I really like social media or not, despite everything look, without it, I wouldn't have launched a brand. No question. Right. It's certainly got the name out there. It's certainly got the interest. And so there are pros and cons to social media, I think, a lot. There's a lot of empty talk. There's a lot. But, there are certain boards that you see a brotherhood and sisterhood of it and stuff like that. And, it seems like every day I'm getting another, request for a board. Or, well, actually, I think they can just add you now. I don't think that you even request. And I have to divide and conquer and decide which ones. I mean it's just too many now. But I mean they all have their own voice. A lot of these guys are in multiple groups, But Cats it's definitely it's probably definitely the biggest on Facebook, I would think. And if not, it's certainly the most vocal and passionate in a lot of ways.
Very vocal, passionate, very civil. Without a lot of, I'm one of the admins on there, and I reluctantly Storm talked me into it, and I was like, I've got enough problems. But you know what? The Brothers of the Leaf thing goes a long way. Despite our drunken revelry, we're pretty.
Well, look, I mean, you get enough people into one group, and you're always going to have that guy or that girl that goes off about stuff.
So sorry.
I'm not pointing out people.
Yeah,
sorry.
Tuttle Douche.
But it's a good group, and I mean, the cigar industry. It's part of what I love about it, though, because you can go into a town that you don't know anybody. You can walk into a cigar shop, and all the garbage is pretty much left at the door. I mean, it's like, you got a guy making $1 million sitting next to a guy that's making minimum wage or unemployed. And at that moment, we're all equal.
That's absolutely.
And that's what I love about it. That's what I love about the cigar experience. That's what I love about lounges. That's what I love about events.
Yeah.
Certainly, obviously you've always got some bad eggs in there that aren't necessarily the true passion of it or whatever. But for the most part, you really have these people that come together with a common bond, and we just, we don't want the drama of life. I mean, I've sat down to guys for years and not have a friggin' clue what they do for a living, and you know what? I don't really care.
Yeah.
I'm just there. We go there, we solve the world's problems, we go home, and then we come back the next day, and apparently they screwed it all up overnight, and then we got to start over again.
Yeah, it's. I went to I think it's Backdoor at Sally's in Washington D.C. And you're right, the cross-section or the demographic of people that were in there smoking cigars was all over the walks of life. I mean, you had people that were aides to senators next to motorcycle enthusiasts right there.
Right.
And it was just such a really cool mix of people that you don't really see hanging out all the time. And
it's funny because
it's a great way for them to do this.
Yeah, it's funny because, everybody thinks that their own group, which, shop has 10 to 20 core guys that, and any given day you can go there and at least 8 of them are going to be there.
Yeah.
And as much as we think we're all unique, and you got the one guy that's, knows everything, that's, got to tell you about his latest purchase, and you got the other guy that's very, left wing, another guy's very right wing, you got another guy that's just is there to smoke a cigar and just relax, doesn't say much. And you go to another shop, and you can pick out those same personalities.
You can pick out the George, the Kramers.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a shop that I've been to a lot, and there's this guy, that just always a loudmouth. He always, I got my boat. I got, I'm looking at buying a helicopter. 3 weeks later, I'm in Wisconsin. I'm sitting down and I'm talking to these guys. This other guy just starts mirroring the exact same thing. I got a boat. I'm looking at a helicopter. I'm like, wow, you guys really are a lot of. So as unique as we are, there's also a common bond to what we are. But I just like that, that there's no BS to it. I mean, a true cigar smoker, like I said earlier, I don't care what you smoke. If we're just sitting down, like I said, solving the world's problems, enjoying a cigar. To me, the battle, we talked about FDA a little bit, the battle to me, it's not about smoking, it's a freedom issue.
Yeah.
It's not an illegal product. I'm not hurting anybody. If you don't want to smoke, then don't go to a cigar shop.
Yeah. Seems simple.
It does. And I think, not to get all, political, but I mean, somehow we've transitioned from a country that's like, hey, I'll do what you enjoy, to if I'm the one person offended by 10 million other people, what they do, you're all of a sudden protecting my rights. And there's a point where you go too far the other way.
Yeah.
I mean, and so, if you take cigar smoking, even if I wasn't a cigar smoker, look, if I didn't smoke, and you're going someplace else, you're not hurting me, I don't care.
Yeah. As our fellow team member Cody over there often says, common sense isn't so common these days.
No. I mean,
but hopefully it's cyclical. These things tend to, like you said, let's hope for the best. Let's hope at the end of the day,
I think so.
Common sense kind of wins.
There's a personal responsibility aspect of it. I mean, nobody walks into McDonald's without saying, screw the last 5 years of my life. I mean, you know the deal. And so, look, if you're not hurting me, and you're not hurting somebody else, and you just enjoy doing whatever you're doing, it's like, and it doesn't impact everybody else, just go, enjoy it.
Yeah.
I mean, and the manufacturers hate that I say this, but it's like, look, if you talk about public venues and you can't smoke in a public venue, I don't really have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you have a park, look, I want to light up a cigar. And for every cigar smoker that's cool about it and goes and distances himself away from everybody else, you get the one guy that's a jerk and sits in the park bench of the playground go, hey, it's my right to smoke. Well, that's the wrong thing. You know, it's like taking your pictures in front of a no smoking sign. You know, we have to, as consumers of cigars and enthusiasts of cigars, we have to be respectful of non-smokers' rights.
Right.
In the same way we want them to be respectful of ours. If a store decides, you know, Starbucks says, hey, you can't smoke on our patios, that's a business decision, and I can choose whether to patronize those people or not. Well, but if I'm sitting in a cigar shop, I mean, to cut you off, I'm sitting in a cigar shop, and no one's bugging me, and I'm just sitting with you guys, we're enjoying a cigar, what do you care? I'm curious of the mentality of these people that you are so angry at cigar smokers, or whatever it is, I don't mean cigar, but whatever it is, you're so angry at those people that you want nothing to do with, but you don't want them to be able to do it either. I mean, it makes no sense.
If you figure it out, let us know.
I don't think we'll ever figure that out.
It's baffling.
We'll never figure that out.
But like I said, I hope the tide turns and we start getting back to some common sense. So the San Andreas is the big push.
Yep.
Anything for?
I've got a new cigar coming out at the show.
Okay.
Actually, it's funny, as I was there and all the FDA stuff dropped, and I had a name for it and everything, and I hadn't cliched the boxes and everything, so I was just kind of in a pissy mood. So I call up my attorney, search a trademark, got it, nail it. You know, I'm changing the name. So I changed the name to Martial Law. So that's the cigar that comes out at the show.
I like it.
12 count boxes. It's kind of like a double Ajero version of the 8613.
Okay.
But you know, it's a little bit different. Great cigar. I actually did it out of James's Blackworks Studios.
That's what you mentioned. Okay.
That was the first cigar that we went over, and James and I have been friends for a while, and you know, great dude, and I really don't know anybody in Esteli that, you know, started a factory. He'd been around for a while, but obviously when you start your own factory, you can only control so much. He started his factory, I want to say about 14 months ago, and I've never seen anybody get up to speed so fast on what the tobacco he's buying, on the construction, the production, and everything else like that. So, you know, it's kind of like, hey, let's go over there and see, you know, let me see what you got, and let's play with some tobacco, and I was real happy with the results. So
awesome.
I'll have that at the show, and then I have another one that I'm also going to do at his factory later in the year.
Oh, fucking A. Yeah, we like a lot of the stuff coming out of James Blackworks, so definitely keep your eye out for that.
He's a good dude. He thinks I'm bad luck now. We were in San Juan del Sur, and we, you know, invited him over. Him and Angela came over, and their son, and we're at the beach thing, and he gets stung by a stingray.
Oh.
You know, which is, I mean, who gets stung by a stingray? So then, I stayed at his house 3 weeks ago, and they had guest room. I'm there, and we get up the next morning, and he's like, "You're bad luck." And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Because I got tagged by a scorpion twice last night in bed." And I'm like, "Well, it's kind of cool for me." And he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, because I know a guy that got stung by a stingray, and I know a guy stung by a scorpion, and it's the same guy.
Oh, that's awesome. Best way to find you, I highly recommend going to Fred's Facebook. Godfather on Twitter.
Yeah, pretty much everything at social media is Godfather, Godfadr. It comes from when I rode motorcycles, which I still do, but my name was, you get a nickname, and it was right. Godfather. I thought that was horribly pretentious, so I purposely misspelled it, so it's Godfadr. It's on Twitter. If you go to Facebook and you do / I think it's / Godfather or / Nomad Cigar Company, you'll find me there.
Okay.
Same thing with Instagram. I'm not real big on Instagram. I mean, I don't I take some cigar pics, but usually I'm at Buc-ee's in Texas or whatever, and I'm like,
well, you gotta take a pic of Buc-ee's.
Well, geez, yeah. Man, okay, if you're listening and you don't know what Buc-ee's is, it's like a gas station meets a Walmart, and you walk in.
Don't get me started on Buc-ee's.
You know, the first time I walked in there, I'm like, you know, can I get beef jerky there? And they're like, oh yeah, they got beef jerky. And I go in there, and it's just like 30-foot wall of beef jerky, you know, delicatessen style, whatever. And I'm just, I can see the beam of light coming down. And you don't walk out of Buc-ee's with less than $35. First time I went there, I spent like $90. I got 2 big bags, and I made a comment to the cashier. I'm like, I don't know where I'm gonna put all this stuff. It's like, well, we sell Yeti coolers. You know,
$400. You got an extra $500 to find?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, it's just a cool place. It really is.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying your time in Texas. I'm glad you're here at Cats Fest. We'll see you here, Cats Fest 5, 6. I don't think we're going anywhere.
I don't think so.
I think
not the way this crowd's going.
No, it's good stuff. And definitely seek Fred out. Smoke some Nomads. And I'm telling you, the therapy is not a misnomer. There's something I'm really, these days, I'm all about.
It's gummy bears. That's a secret ingredient.
And keep tuned, because we've got some more Nomads coming up on the show, too. And on the website. So more to come. Stay tuned.
All right.
Thanks, Fred.
Thanks.